Counting for the US midterm polls are still underway. The race for the House is tight, but as per the current trends, it looks like the Republicans will manage to regain control of the House. It is, however, not looking like a red wave or a tsunami as widely expected before the midterm polls. Many of Trump's picks have struggled, and his rival in the Republican Party won in Florida. In this broadcast, we will decode these developments, what these polls mean for the Biden presidency, and if Trump's presidential bid is unlikely now, and how is it going to in fact pave the way for perhaps again a democratic victory. Ambassador Basmati Mukherjee joins us on the platform. She's a former diplomat. Rabinder Sachdev, international affairs expert, is also here with us. Dr. Dheeraj Kaul, international affairs expert, is joining us as well. Arvind Singh Tejawat, international affairs expert, also joining us on the show. Ambassador Basmati Mukherjee, ma'am, I'd like to begin with you.
Yes,
ma'am, how do you see these developments? You know, usually the American elections have been more or less predictable, but these midterms have been, replete with surprises. Donald Trump on, the cusp of, making his comeback in the presidential race. Is this some sort of a setback for him?
Definitely, Vineet, it is a setback, and it's also a clear indication of how deeply divided the United States is, not just between Democrats and Republicans, but how divided is the grand old party, the Republican Party, as far as Trump versus the rest are concerned. And don't forget that within the Republican Party, there are very powerful Republican families, including the Bushes, etc., who really dislike Trump and his politics. And it's also a big setback for Joe Biden's presidency, because I was looking at the analysis, and apparently only 3 US presidents, including Bush, was able to hold on to both houses midterm, because these midterm elections is also supposed to be like a gauge of how the country regards his presidency, Biden's presidency. So on both sides, it's not a red wave. It's not a good indication for Joe Biden getting endorsed for another seat. It's too early for us to say whether Trump will throw in his hat on the 16th of November, as he has said. But definitely, 1 or 2 of his nominees whom he endorsed have not got elected according to early trends. But on the other hand, there is no doubt that the Republican Party, the core supporters of the Republican Party, are Trump supporters, and therefore those who are the so-called moderates in the Republican Party, including the Bushes, etc., they are actually in a minority as far as combating Trump is concerned. So we cannot really rule out whether Trump is going to come in or not as a contender in the next election. But the fact that it's not a red wave is a setback for him. But as we know, Vineet, this gentleman never takes no for an answer. He's like a rubber ball who keeps popping up. Whenever you push him down, he pops up again. So nothing has been concluded. It's still early evening for us, and the counting is going to go on. And I saw commentators from CNN, etc., saying that it will be only for 2 full days before we know the final results. So we have to wait and see. But definitely, even for President Biden, this is a very big blow for him if he is going to lose control, because that means his legislative agenda will be completely blocked by the Republicans, and he will not have a free hand in giving billions and billions and billions of dollars of aid to Zelensky, which will also impact the Ukraine-Russia conflict. Vineet.
That's a great point that you have made. In fact, Mr. Arvind Singh, if you're there with us. Mr. Tejawat, if you're there with us.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Well, the entire trouble between the Republicans and the Democrats of late has been with the kind of help that Joe Biden has been pledging to Mr. Zelensky for the Ukraine-Russia war. That has also sparked, a lot of, anger, so to speak, in the Republican Party, because they feel that the industrial military complex is the one that is gaining from this particular kind of a move, and the country is losing, and it's also brought the world on the brink of a nuclear war. Do you think in one sense this is perhaps worked out for the Americans, maybe not so the Republicans at a macro level, but definitely the Americans, the country at large?
Right, Vineet ji. Actually, what we can see from last few days that Donald Trump is continuously attacking on the government, the Joe Biden government, and he is saying that as a part of a foreign policy, the American government is totally failed. It's not only about the Ukraine; it's all about the China and Russia too. And they are means as America as a power, they are losing somewhere their reputation, what they were having at the time of the 90s decade. So so the common American person is not happy, and it's not only about the Trump. Now the another person is Ronald DeSantis is also in a race. So now the possibly the future the president will be the Ron DeSantis. So now the Americans, they are looking into that, and they are looking into the Republicans again. And now it won't be, as Ambassador Mukherjee said, that it won't be possible for Joe Biden government to get all the financial sanction to move free-handed. So now the situation is going to be a really tough for the Joe Biden government. Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Ravinder Sachdev. Mr. Sachdev,
Yeah.
how does this sort of bring in a very dynamic background for the kind of fight that we were anticipating in 2024? This definitely deflates Joe Biden when it comes to holding the reins to the Congress, but at the same time this also deflates what Trump may have been anticipating about his image and about his being gone for 4 years from the scene.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there are two or three things. One is about Biden, the other is Trump. So let's say we're starting with Trump. Definitely, you see, this has been a setback for Trump. More so, not only that, it's not a Republican wave. Okay, the Republicans may still end up, having a slim majority in the House, whereas it was expected to be a larger majority. But any majority by one is good enough anyway. By the way, that majority, if both houses go to the Republicans, Biden had another big problem. Republicans were talking about impeaching Biden. Okay, they are talking about impeaching some members of his cabinet also. So there would have been a major, logjam in the American polity if both houses go to Republicans, right? Now, talking about Trump. Trump has, I think he has lost some momentum. One, many of the candidates whom he supported within the Republicans against the other Republicans, many of them have lost. Okay, who could, had they won, that would have lent Trump even more strength. So many of the candidates supported by Trump have lost. That's one. Secondly, DeSantis, as Arvindji was saying, Trump is not happy with DeSantis. In fact, he's calling him de-sanctimonious, as Trump kind of belittles his opponents. Now, DeSantis won with a good majority in Florida. So DeSantis and his ambitions are also known. So he can very well be, in fact, today morning I was listening to Fox News, and there was this talk going on that has Trump damaged actually the GOP prospects. Okay, so if that's the kind of a discussion going on, and there you have Roy DeSantis, who's done well in his governorship, got re-elected despite Trump, in some ways, not directly, Trump did not challenge him directly, but still DeSantis has won. And those candidates whom Trump personally backed, the Mavericks or the, one fringe element, many of them have lost. That kind of reduces Trump's, whatever you may say, chances, but we never know. I mean, on 14th or 16th, he may announce and he may go on to fight and still emerge the Republican candidate. Now, Biden, I think, has been hurt less. Obviously, had it been a wave, okay, then Biden was not only a lame duck, Biden himself said the other day that the next 2 years will be horrible. Okay, they would have been horrible for the legislative agenda, horrible for the Ukraine aid, as Madam Ambassador is talking about, or horrible about, the student loan things, or whatever Biden wanted to do with the legislative agenda. But if the Republican wave, quote unquote, is not there, if one of the houses the Democrats survive, apparently the Senate they could still retain. The House may go to the Republicans. So Biden's loss may not be that big as it was expected yesterday morning, I think, while going into the polls.
All right, Dr. Dheeraj Kaul also joins us. He's joining us live from the USA. Dr. Kaul, if you can hear me.
Hear you. Yes, I can hear you. Good morning. Good evening.
Right, Dr. Kaul, how do you think both the parties are pitted against each other at this particular time? With the buzz around Donald Trump returning, in the presidential race, and Joe Biden losing out on popularity on a regular basis, and with the Ukraine and Russia crisis only fomenting more trouble for the Democrats, who's the victor here?
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to this very important conversation you're having. As we know, there is a drastic shift on the ground. Like, I'm from New York, so I talk to a lot of people from medical, financial sector, you name it, California, travel a lot. So, to be honest to you, it's been seen like a financial failure to deal with the current geopolitical global crisis impending in front of us. We are moving every day towards recession. Job less numbers, which the Fed is tracking, is already a delayed data. It will show up in 9 months. So I think more and more hardcore voter of Democrat Party are swinging to Republican. I definitely think with every day, there is a stronger tendency of people who were swing voters, who were Democrat most of the time and not sure, they are already swinging towards Republican. I'm currently visiting Pennsylvania. Here, there is a big victory of Fetterman against, Oz, who was a celebrity. So, and that's basically on pregnancy, rights, which is very, I want to say, right-wing. But at the same time, I think there is more momentum on the ground. If you talk to people, regular voters, I've spoken to hundreds and hundreds of them since last night. My friends, colleagues, family, people are not happy with the way government is dealing with the financial, economical crisis and inflation. That's very, very big in the centerpiece right now. Also, people are not very happy how they are dealing with the Ukraine-Russia war. There is a lot of sect of people who don't believe we should sacrifice our own rights, our own focus, which should be on inflation, supply chain disruption, for a war in Eastern Europe. How much, to which degree do you want to get involved there? That's a new debate which is rising. And I think that's a very groundbreaking thing happening as we speak. The results are coming out. Already Republicans, they are leading. A lot of my colleagues and friends are not very happy, especially when you talk about immigration reforms. But that's the reality. Immigrants are thinking now. People from Indian community are thinking now. How much of loss we are able to take with the financial crisis? Immigrants, you have to understand, a bulk of very good, hardworking immigrants, money is disappearing. Unofficially, our inflation is 8.9. Unofficially is 8.9. Officially, is probably 15 to 16%. Inflation is a very big issue here in US. And Fed is only tracking a data which will show 9 months later, which is job less numbers, which unfortunately we had 200,000 jobs added last quarter, which doesn't mean anything. I personally am not very satisfied with the way financial crises are being met right now, which is the biggest elephant in the room.
Right. Okay. Well, but Madam Mukherjee, Joe Biden, on the other hand, has been painting a very, pretty picture about the American economy. Every time he speaks, he mentions and he brags about the employment generated, the revenue that has been consolidated, how COVID-19 was, stemmed out under his leadership. All of this, this kind of oratory has really not affected the American voter, it seems.
I think that Joe Biden is living in a fantasy world, as Dr. Dheeraj Kaul just told us the facts from where he is in Penn State. My sister lives in Boston. And it's very true that swing voters, Democrat voters, are moving to Republicans. And in any case, I would tell Dr. Kaul that a very large number of Indian diaspora in the United States have, over the last 2 years, turned Republican. They are funding Republican candidates. They are funding the grand old party. And they'll tell you in one more thing, which is very important from Trump's perspective, and that is that Trump, through his maverick politics, has turned the GOP, like Hegel would said, upside down, and he has got grassroots support among Republican voters, conservative Republican voters. If there is a toss-up between anti-Trump candidate and a Trump candidate for the presidential candidate, it is quite possible, despite our reservations about his mental equilibrium, etc., here in India, that Trump would emerge as the GOP's candidate. As far as Biden is concerned, the most important thing for those of us here in India who would like to see an end of this conflict, which has gone on for too long and which has damaged the global economy, the American economy. It's had less impact on us so far, but it could impact us badly. Now Biden is no longer free to pour all these weapon systems into Zelensky's hands. He's already had a tiff with Zelensky, who apparently, after getting billions of dollars, told Biden in a telephone conversation that he wants much, much more, like, a little boy who's not happy with one chocolate, he wants to have the whole room of chocolates. Well, all that is going to come to an end. And since Zelensky was so-called winning his war because of the billions of dollars being given to him by the Americans, now is the time for the rest of the world, including India with its G20 presidency coming up on 1st of December, to try and talk some sense to both the combatants as well as to the United States and the EU, to say that this war in Eastern Europe is not worth it. It should be brought to an end, and it should be brought to an end as soon as possible. And if in that process the Democrats lose both houses, well, I'm sorry about that. But if in the process the Ukraine conflict comes to an end, well, Vineet, sometimes they say that bad results have good endings. I would say in that case that this result, bad or not, I don't know, since I support the Republican Party, I always have. It's good for India. The Republicans have always been good for India, not the Democrats. I would say that this would have a good ending for international peace and security.
Right. And Mr. Shahdev, but the Democrats have been saying that Republicans, pose a dire threat to the democracy of the United States, because half of their candidates have been repeating Donald Trump's debunked claims of cheating in 2020 election. That is bizarre if you consider what Donald Trump did in January of that particular month when that revolt happened in Washington, D.C.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, agreed, there are fringes on both sides. The Republican fringes are, a fringe is a fringe, and they're two-way gone election deniers, and absolutely a danger for American democracy. I think I would say, though, pardon me, we are not sitting in America, we are not Americans, but hey, the world comments, so we also have our opinions. We do comment from what we little know. They are a danger to not only American democracy, they're a danger to the world. One. Secondly, but by the way, some little interesting news. I don't know, it may be, Sri Thanedar, an Indian American candidate, Democrat from Michigan, has been elected. So I think the four which were there already, I think probably all four of them have been re-elected, but one more entrant now, Sri Thanedar, is coming into the US Congress. Now, what all it may mean or not, I don't see it meaning much for India, but in some senses, it's okay, may the tribe increase. So we may have now 5 Indian origin congressmen. And by the way, Sri Thanedar, our group, we supported his campaign. I, in fact, worked with his communication team also. But that aside, so that's one little, trivia. But coming back, so Trump, yes, Trump has, let's work backwards. If, as is being said, let's say our colleague Dr. Kaul is saying that, a large number are moving towards the Republicans. If that was to happen, if that is happening, then we would have seen those numbers coming out last night, right? That's the discussion going on. If it was to be a Republican wave like that, and sure, Dhiraj, please, help us out, then in that case, Republicans would have gone and, had a much wider margin in the House. They may still end up with a margin in the House, and agreed even a one single margin in the lower house and in the Senate is enough to send Biden into horrible nightmares forever for the next 2 years. But if the Republicans have not managed that so far, okay, which in fact last night at around 10 o'clock or so, I think the RNC, they had their own all celebratory bands, etc., ready at a hotel in DC to celebrate. But since the numbers are running so close, so therefore there is the results are coming in later. So thereby it seems that there is not a Republican wave as such, right? Now, so if there is not a Republican way, why that is not, that's for the Republicans to decide or look into, or for the Democrats to see how they managed to hold on. Despite Biden, Biden may have delivered economically, but Biden's leadership or Biden as a leader is not much, he's not much inspiring. Okay, though American economy has done well, other than the matter of inflation, net worth has gone up. Okay, so housing has gone up, etc. I mean, there are too many parameters, depends on which ones you know. But inflation, yes, has gone up, but economy has done well. Crime has been an issue on which he was hammered. Immigration, illegal immigration, right, from Mexico and all is a huge issue on which Biden is being hammered. But Biden has been able to hold on, partly, by the way, the abortion issue, especially in the northern states. Because in the southern states, immigration is a bigger issue, like Texas and all. But in the northern states, immigrants are far away, right? So abortion becomes a bigger issue. So maybe the Democrats were able to do something. But I think right now, both sides are trying to introspect where they missed or what they could have done better. Though, lastly, I would say it was expected as of last night or before the poll started that there was a Republican wave and Democrats were virtually thinking that they would lose both the House and the Senate by around 4 seats and House by many more seats than a slim margin.
Okay, we've almost run out of time. I'm going to take concluding thoughts from Mr. Tejawat and Dr. Dheeraj Kohl, and then we're going to wrap up. Mr. Tejawat, coming to you first.
Right. What I believe that what Ambassador Mukherjee said that Joe Biden is in fantasy, I'm not agree with. And what are the Republicans we have to learn about this? These Republican people are those who are against the right of LGBTQIA plus people, and at the same time, the Republicans are those people who were against the lockdown. The later the US people, they realized that the lockdown decision was really a good decision. At the same time, if we think about the India's interest, then I don't think that it will affect much more. Either the Republicans are there or either the Democrats are there. It's because the two nations' relations is totally depend on the national interest. And I suppose the India is increasing the trade with the Russia, and it is also another failure at a part of UN foreign policy. So that's my belief that we shall watch, because the Democrats, they won in Pennsylvania. So let's wait and watch that what's happening in the next step.
All right. Dr. Kaul, quickly, please.
Yeah, thank you. So I do agree with a lot of points made by Ambassador Mukherjee, and even Ravindra raised important points. So just quickly a recap. So as of right now, 646 Democrat slots in the Senate and 47 very neck-to-neck competition of Republican. US House is 172 Democrat, 199 is Republican. And governors are 21 of Democrat and 24 of Republicans. It's absolutely true. There is no landslide movement going on right now. But I'm telling you, the movement is building. And one of the things which people are not looking, $2.4 trillion with the T has been lost within last 8 months of 2022 in FANG, big caps. 33% NASDAQ has lost. And every single hardworking American whose money is invested in the stock market through 401k is hampered. It's hampered. I'm telling you, I'm connected to the market as well. The other thing, 60% of the wealth of the American is in the house. 30% drop of house prices is anticipated by 2023 December. Mark my word. And it's already starting to see 5% drop. The moment it starts, you'll have a downside ripple effect. People will default. And then comes the joblessness numbers of 9 months. So unemployment, you will be seeing in 9 to 8 months from now. Recession fears are very, very real. We already have negative growth for 2. That is the definition of recession. Growth sector is hampered, destroyed. Micro caps are out. $10 billion companies are under $1 billion right now. It's hurting average American.
All right.
Problem is average American doesn't check his portfolio every single day. People in the market do. And
Absolutely.
it's gonna pull the rig. It's gonna pull the rig under the feet of the people. It's very painful because these are hard.
Right, completely understand, and you're absolutely right about a few things, but unfortunately we've run out of time. Would like to thank all our guests for being a part of this panel.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.